All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Jesse, it's great to see you. How you doing, my man?
I'm well, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I don't know about you, but I'm all fired up. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fired up after listening to AJ on that last interview what we just listened to. What about you?
My heart's going like this. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
I can feel the passion, the drive.
So guys, I know I probably say this every time we get on this call, but if you're not already attending the half hour of power with John Sy, half hour before this call, it's definitely worth it. I mean, the people that he has on there, the guest speakers and the topics always seem to get me fired up. And they had he had a guy by the name of AJ Medea,
Mida? Yeah.
Mida, and he's an EXP guy. And in short, his story is he had a team, a real estate team at Keller Williams in 2016, and his entire team was doing $20 million a year in real estate sales, which I listen to it, I'm like, that's really not a whole lot. I've done that on my own, but it's a lot if you're doing it on your own. But with a team, it's got to be, you're not making a ton of money. But he sold that team, and right after he sold the team, he found out about EXP, and he was always a guy that did things the same way that I've done them. And, some of us that have been coached, like, through Mike Ferry, where he gets up real early, works out, and then gets on the phone and prospects and grinds it out for hours on end. And his story now is, fast forward, he joined in 2017. So he's been there for 3 years at EXP. He's 33 years old and he is retired, basically.
Living in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he's living in Puerto Rico, but now moved back to Michigan. I'm not really they have a child on the way, so he's moved back to Michigan. But the point is, he was able to replicate with agent attraction, with bringing people into EXP. He was able to far out produce what he was doing as a real estate agent in residual income from EXP revenue share. And he's just a real humble guy, and he talked about it. He didn't give us like the how he did it. I know some of the background of how he did it. He actually had one guy in his group that really organized a lunch and learns, like 8 to 10 a week for a year straight, where there was like 10 or 15 agents. They all took a different area and they rotated. So there was like 3 groups of 3 or something like that. And they did, one would do lunch and learn for an hour on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And they would, spread it out. So there was like 8 to 10 a week. Well, they quickly grew from, his first year, he brought in 6 agents to his front line over a year's time, which is not, anybody can do that. And that grew the next year. It started to grow rapidly because he had some people that were recruiting, and it grew to 150 agents. And by the 18th month, he had 500 agents in his group at EXP, which is, that's a lot quickly. And that today is 2 years later, he's got 1,900. And I can tell you, if you look at the model, and it's no secret, you multiply that number by about $850 per agent. That's what he's probably bringing in a year, times 1,900 times 850. So you can do the math. And he was just talking about, hey, how did he do this? Or, what was the mindset and everything? He said, if we're not where we want to be right now, there's a reason for it. It's, you got to take a look in the mirror and see where you're at and where you want to be. And then you have to set a plan. I mean, this is all the stuff that we've been trying to teach everybody. And I always, try to do myself, is you set a plan, you write down a goal, you create a business plan, and you follow that plan. And you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to grind it out for a period of time. And he said, before he got an EXP, that's what he was doing. And he did sell a lot of homes the first year and a half at EXP. He was selling, $15, $20 million worth of real estate as well. So you know, he was one of those guys that he got up at 4:30 in the morning, got to the, worked out, got to the office at 8 o'clock, made his phone calls, worked with buyers and sellers, and did that for many years. And then that translated into, being an agent, somebody that brings agents into EXP, and it's changed his life. It's an amazing story. But we've talked about it before, and it's any one of us can do that, and it just takes focus and discipline. It takes, first of all, you have to want it. You have to want to go. You have to write down a goal, and you have to seriously want that goal. You have to have a burning desire to reach that goal. Create a business plan that lays out the steps that you have to take to achieve that goal. And then you have to carry that out with discipline and focus. As a real estate agent, all those things are very important. And everybody that's successful at either agent attraction or selling real estate at a high level or both, it's like the blueprint, like we try to teach you in the Extreme Agent Blueprint. It's right there. It's right there. And that's what we're doing here. So, Jesse, I think today we're going to talk about a little bit about, what's stopping us for the next, second half of the year. We're a week in, and, I told everybody to reset and start from scratch. So I'll let you talk, Jesse. Sorry.
No, good stuff. Yeah. Last week we talked about, like, this is the second half. There's a lot that you can get done in 6 months. You can accomplish a lot in 6 months, right? You can accomplish a lot in 3 months, and real estate is kind of this 3-month cycle business. So last week we talked about laying that out. What is your game plan? And what is it that got you, what is it that has you stuck? What is the roadblocks? Maybe they're just mental. Maybe it's some type of resource that you feel like you don't have. Yesterday, I was going through this idea of what is it that people always say limits them from achieving something? Oh, I don't have this resource. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the money. I didn't know who to do. I didn't have the skill set. Well, be resourceful. That is the resource you need, is be resourceful to figure out how you can get past those roadblocks to hit whatever that goal is for the end of the year. We got 6 months. So what is it that is in the way?
Yeah, and if it's, and one of the things AJ said that, it's kind of like just reminders, some of the things that he said. If you're having a mindset issue and you have a mental block, or there's something mentally that's holding you back from being more disciplined or taking the action, one of the things that he does, and this is one of the things that we talk about in the book, is he's always studying successful business people and reading their biographies. What do you call it? Leaders of industry. There's so much material out there, and some of them are on some of the books we have on our reading list on Extreme Agents VIP website. You can go in there and get a list of books. A lot of them, both of us have read, and that'll help guide you and get you out of that, maybe a mental block that you have, to get you on the right track. So that's a suggestion, and he said that's what he does every morning. He works out, but he also reads a little bit of a motivational book, or from a business leader standpoint book.
Yeah. Bottom line, you're modeling success, right?
Right.
You're modeling somebody that has achieved, like, he's like, my goals are not what everybody else's were. He's like, I wanted to travel, and he took a motor home and traveled the United States. He's like, I wanted to live over, on an island pretty much. He's like, my goals are mine. Like, find somebody that maybe has that and model what they're doing.
Right. And everybody here has different goals. I'm not saying you have to have the same goals as me or Jesse or AJ or anything like that. If your goal is to, if your goal is to sell 10 homes over the next 12 months, that's a great goal that you can easily achieve, through focus and discipline. And that's, really what it's all about. We can kid ourselves all day as real estate agents and say that we're busy and busy and busy and too busy to do that. I've been down that road, and it's just not the truth. You just have to manage your time efficiently, and you have to schedule things and treat it like a business. So, does anybody want to share maybe where they're at in their business right now, and what's, what roadblocks or what hurdles that they're trying to overcome right now to get to the next level or hit their, second half of the year goals? Anybody want to share? If you can't, if for some reason you're not able to unmute yourself and you want to write something in the chat box, you can go down to the very bottom and write in there as well, and just say, hey, I can't talk or whatever. It's not working. We'll give you a second here. Anybody's welcome. All right, I'll share if nobody else wants to. Yeah, I've rarely ever hit a goal. I rarely ever hit my yearly goal. There's only been one time in the last 7 years that I've exceeded or hit my production goal. And is there anything wrong with that? Not at all. And why is that? It's not about reaching that milestone or hitting the goal and then, it's not a magical thing that just happens. So when I set a goal, it sets into motion a lot of different things. And what it does is it sets into motion my intentional focus on that goal. And then that helps me to visualize what the end result is. But then I'm also able to create a business plan to be able to take those steps towards that goal. And what it really comes down to is during the process of working towards that goal, it's the integrity of following that plan. It's who I become throughout that process of saying that I'm going to do something and following through with it. And ultimately, by going through that process of setting the goal and working towards it to achieve the goal, even if I don't hit the goal, it's what I become along the way. It's the purpose and it's the person that I become along the way. And that's really what it's all about. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what it's about for me. So I always set goals that are a little bit higher than, like we talked about goal setting last time, goals that are out of reach, because hey, every once in a while you're going to hit that goal and you're going to really surprise yourself and realize that anything is possible. It really is. So, for the next 6 months, I've set down I've written down my goals. I have a business plan. Have I followed the business plan 100%? No, but, I'm about 75%, which is, I need to get a little bit better on that. So if I really want things to happen and I really want to hit my goals for the second half, I need to be 100%. If I'm 100%, I'll hit the goal. But I need to be better at that. I need to pick it up about 25, 30% right now. So that's the reality.
You know what I'm hearing, Steve, is that you actually really love the stretching. You love the process. You love playing the game and what that does for you. Obviously, if you do those activities, some people are like focused on the result and only, and some people are like focused on the activities that get the result. You love playing the game, and that's stretching you. That's building your character and your person, your integrity every day. It's like reinforcing a stronger Steve. And I think
Jesse, I had a goal card. I told everybody to write down their goal, their big, audacious, hairy goal, or whatever you want to call it, on a goal card. And I had that up until the last 48 hours. I don't know which pair of pants I left it in or what happened to it, but I thought about that this morning, and not until now am I going to rewrite the goal and put it back into my pocket. So that's okay. I mean, that's going to happen. I probably should get this laminated, but I'll tell you, man, looking at that goal, the first 5 or 6 days, 4 or 5 days that I had in my pocket, and I would look at it a couple times a day and visualize it. It really does affect what you do on a daily basis. So don't discount that, the positive results that's going to have for you.
So who else? Do you guys telling us you don't have any roadblocks? Oh, okay. We got Chanel here. So feeling not ready and don't know what to do after making a contact. That is a reality for a lot of people. That's a very great observation. Not feeling you're ready and then not knowing what to do after you make a contact. So maybe I'll tackle that first thing, Steve. If you want to tackle the second thing?
Yeah.
So not feeling ready is
Sure.
it's a limiting belief, because once you start, it's easier. Like once you make the first call, once you pick up the phone, like I'll be honest, I wasn't doing really hardly anything to do agent attraction until this week. I've talked to 30 agents. I'm excited. And it was really just like a limiting belief. Like, man, I don't want them to just blow me off and be like, oh, you're just whatever your motive is, you're just calling. After I made the first call and I talked to a few agents, and I'm just calling KW agents. I just went to one office, and it's easier to make the next one. It's like, start with the first one. I promise you, that's the most painful one to do. So if you don't feel ready, you're never going to feel ready. Just do the first call, pick up the phone, make the dial, send the first email, do the first contact, and then it will feel better.
Excellent. And thanks, Jesse. And thanks for sharing, Chanel. And I'm reading I finally read your comment here. You said, your roadblock is feeling like I'm not ready and don't know what to do after making the contact. So I think Jesse kind of covered, do you mean after you now have the appointment, or both not ready to make the call and then not ready to go on the appointment? Say yes if you mean both.
Yes.
Okay.
But but I'm more afraid to making the appointment and not know what to do.
Okay.
I'm newly agent, and tomorrow is my first listing appointment, and I feel like I'm not ready for it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure you're ready in the next 13 minutes. You're going to be 100% ready for that appointment. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just address the first thing real quick. The first thing you said was, Jesse went over the first part about, just taking the action. And I struggle with that all the time too. And what I found is, even if I'm dead tired in the morning and I come into the office, just not feeling it, my voice is cracked, whatever. If I just get on the phone, and even if I stumble through the first call that I make, that first call is the most important thing for me every day. Because that first call sets in motion my actions for like the next, couple hours. And even if it's a F you, don't call me this early, that's okay, because I have my little sheet and I'm able to write down that that's a contact. And I have a goal of making 15 to 20 contacts every day. That's one down. Okay, that's one more no closer to a yes. So just take the action. Nobody is going to give a crap what you say. If you mess up, chances are you got about a 1 in 60 chance you're ever going to see the person or talk to them again.
Right.
So, just go to the next call. Now, if you get the appointment, that's a good problem to have. And that's why I always say, just do your prospecting for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is, whatever you have set in your schedule. Set as many appointments as you can as possible. Then when you get done at 11 or 12 or whatever time it is, that's when you review whether or not you're going to, number one, go on the appointment at all, or number two, if you just have to pre-qualify the appointment, which I suggest doing that on every one of them.
Okay.
So now that you have set the appointment, I assume you probably, Chanel, when did you set this? Today for tomorrow, or did you set it a few days ago?
I said it yesterday.
Okay, how did you get the lead?
My father went to a golf last week and met somebody there that wanted to sell the house. It's an older lady who just lost her husband last year, and the house is too big for her to maintain. So she wanted to go to a smaller home that she can maintain and sell this one.
Okay, perfect. So your job then is what you're going to want to do is you're going to go on, you have set up a time to go on a listing appointment, correct?
Right. And I have her home address, and I did some comms, and there's not enough. She bought a builder home.
How long ago? How old's the house?
It was built 2000, and she bought it in 2000.
Okay.
So she never had a listing on that house. So on the MLS, I couldn't find the listing because it's never been sold.
Right.
And I couldn't, I don't know how to go from there, because usually when the listing is there, I go
Right.
to stats and all that stuff, but now I cannot find her home in the MLS. How do I do right comp?
Okay, so her home was not in the MLS at all, even as a to be built or listed. It wasn't. Okay. What I would do is I would number one, I would just first thing I would do is I would just set a search in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Obviously, there's going to be comps because it's 2000. It was 20 years ago. There's going to be a lot of comps. You just have to find out which model house she has.
Okay.
Now the information, if you go into Remine, I think it's called, the tax information, you can probably, they're still going to have the square footage and everything in there.
Right. I found all of those.
You found all that? Okay. So if you found all that, you can probably, without even asking her, figure out what model it is or close to it.
Right.
But you might want to look at several comps and try to figure out what house hers is most comparable to, like
Okay.
which 4 or 5 comps you think it is, and then call her and say, hey, I just want to confirm. Now you're in a 3-car garage. Do you have a finished or unfinished basement? Do you know are you in a Hawthorne model? Is that the model of house you're in?
Okay.
So you just want to confirm that you're comparing apples to apples, because some of the other properties are going to be in there as comps, and they're probably going to say what model it is. All right. Or at least they're going to have, you're going to find a few that are the same square footage. You just want to make sure, you probably want to double check and make sure it's, the right model that you think it is. All right.
Okay.
So that way you're comparing apples to apples. Has she done any upgrades to the house since 2000? That's been 20 years. So I, would assume she had to have done something.
Right.
So you're going to want to make sure that you have the correct comps.
Okay.
All right. And then when you go out to the house, obviously you want to call her again though, and, get that, just confirm that information, and you want to pre-qualify her. Do we have a pre-qualifying script in the thing, Jesse? You want to ask her as many of those questions that you feel comfortable with.
Yes, I did do all of those pre-listing qualification questions. Like there was like 20 of the questions in there.
Yeah, ask the ones that you feel that are important. All of them are, but just get through as many of them as you can.
Okay.
And find out that you're comparing, that you're using the right comps. All right. So then what you want to do is you want to get 3 of the last 3 sold comps together.
Okay.
With the pictures to take out to the house. You want to get comps that are at her price or lower. You don't want to get stuff that's sold for more than you feel like it should be listed for. Okay.
Okay.
So
even those comps come like 2 years, 3 years ago, the models that she's in, there weren't comps that were sold recently.
I'll help you get the comps. Okay. You tell me give me the address later and I'll get the comps for you.
Okay.
And make sure you got the right ones. Okay.
Okay.
So more importantly, once you get the comps together, you want to get that together and put a pre-list or put a listing packet together. So you want to make sure you have all the listing paperwork with you.
Listing paper.
Listing agreement, all the disclosures that are necessary, all the disclosures that are required by EXP. And you take all that paperwork with the comps, and then you probably want to have like a cover letter or something, like a cover. If you go into EXP, the marketing materials in EXP Enterprise, you're going to find marketing materials, for a listing packet.
Okay.
Use a couple of those and just take that with you, just so it, kind of outlines kind of what we'll do for her.
Okay.
And there's going to be a listing appointment script as well. Jesse, do we have that in there too? You're muted. Okay, yeah. So go into our website and you can get some of the scripts, and I would prepare for this and take a couple hours to get this all ready, okay?
Yes.
It's very important that you present yourself professionally. Obviously, dress up nice. You know, be very professional when you get there. You know, look her in the eyes. Be confident. Don't let her know, oh, this is my first house I listed. You can tell that you've worked with. You can tell her, listen, I work with the Merritt Group. We've sold over 400 homes in the last 6 years, and you know, I was trained by them. So we're going to take care of you and get your house sold. No problem.
Where did you get this information
On the screen, Jesse.
on the screen right now?
Well, this is our book. I put it in a chat in the comments. In the chat, you can download it. It's a PDF.
Yeah, so guys, there's links in the chat right now. So if you want to go in there and get the book or anything else, it's in there.
Yep. Talks about.
So you want to be very prepared with comps, a little bit of material for her to look at about, you know, your marketing approach. Be confident. Go in there, and there's going to be a script. It'd be very good for you to follow the script as much as possible. You just want to ask her questions. Thanks for having me over. You know, I appreciate you taking the time to meet. I'm looking forward to getting your house sold. You want to go look at the house, and she's going to say, well, let me show you around. And you say, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to look at it just like a buyer would. I'll walk through myself, take 5 minutes. I'll meet you at the kitchen table. Is that okay? Yes. If she says, I want to walk with you, that's okay. You sit down at the kitchen table, and then you have a handful of questions that you want to ask her. And then at some point you want to say, so do you want me to go ahead and list your house for you and get it sold? And sit there like this and let her answer.
Okay.
Chances are she's going to say yes. Okay, great. So all we have to do now is fill out the paperwork. Then you're going to want to fill out the paperwork with her sitting there, listing agreement, disclosures, all that needs to be filled out. And at the very end, you're going to want to ask her a handful of questions. I'm going to send you 2 sheets. Pushkar, can you send her a listing packet of all the paperwork she needs? What town's it in?
Palatine.
All right, Pushkar, are you on the call? Are you listening? You are.
Sure. Yeah, I can send it.
All right. Send her a complete listing packet for a property, you know, for Palatine, so she has that, okay?
Got it. Okay.
And then send her the 2 sheets that I use, which are the information about showings and the information about the features and benefits, okay? You want to get all that filled out when you're at the listing appointment because you're going to wish you did if you don't.
Got it.
All right, Chanel?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll help you with the comps. And that's it. Once you get all the paperwork filled out, you get up and you say, you know what, while I'm here, I'd like to put a lockbox on the house. Go to Home Depot first and get one of those nice key lock boxes that if you don't have do you have a central lock?
I have a lockbox.
Okay, good. You want to take care of that when you're there. Get the lockbox, put it on the door, get a key from her, double check, make sure the key works, put it in the lockbox. One of the questions on there is going to be, do you want to sign? If she wants to sign and you put that in yourself, you can do it then, or you could get Oakley Sign to do it. But there's a whole process you want to go through. And the reason I do it that way is because I've done this 500 times and I know what works and what you have to do. So I'll help you. All right, so we're running out of time, but Chanel, I will meet with you right after the call to kind of go over the comps, okay?
That'd be great. Thank you.
What other questions do you have? We have a little bit of time here. What other questions do you have about that?
No, just I mean, since I am a newly agent, I wasn't confident in what I need to do as far as the paperwork goes, and that's what one of my roadblock is, because I always feel like I'm not ready for anything. So you know, I study materials and I read your books and all that, but when I make the call, when I actually get the appointment, then I start freaking out.
You'll be fine, because you're going to have a listing packet all put together with all the necessary paperwork. You're going to have the comps that you need to convince her to list the property at a price that's going to help get it sold quickly. And you'll know what to say. You're going to have a script, and don't feel like she's going to know you're reading a script, because when you're asking these questions on the script, you're actually asking her pertinent questions that you need the answer to, and you do need to write it down. So it doesn't look like it's, you know, a script. It's just information, like when you go to the doctor's office. Where does it hurt? Oh, my left leg hurts. Okay, your left leg hurts. All right. That's all you're doing. You're just being professional.
Okay.
Any other questions? So Jesse, you put the book, a free copy of our book in there, the pre-qualification script, which is something, that's what you want to do, is go over the pre-qual script with her when you ask her about the house to make sure you have the right model. You want to ask some of those questions, and one of those questions may determine that you don't go on the listing appointment, and you just saved yourself a lot of time and agony if that's the case. Because one of those questions is, how much do you owe on the house? If she owes $500,000 on the house and the house is worth 400, it's another conversation altogether. Ed, what do you got, buddy? I see you're talking.
No, I was just going to make a comment on and piggyback on something that you had already commented on. There's a book, I think his name is Kevin Ward, called The Book of Yes. And before I got up with you guys, I was studying some of his material. And one of the things that he had mentioned in there is, like you said, you have to know those scripts back and forth. And if you take a couple of hours every day and go over those scripts so you can handle every objection that may come to mind, then you'll be ready for them when they give it to you. But if you don't prepare, you may get a out of the blue question that you may not be ready for. And if you don't know the answer, they're not going to feel that you're that confident in what you're doing. And the other thing that I do when I go into a listing appointment, which I was a little afraid of doing before, is trying to find some kind of common point between myself and the individual that I was interviewing for the listing appointment, like as if they had a dog, or if I saw bowling trophies on the shelf, or if I saw Chicago Bears on the wall. I would always try to bring up a light conversation that they can identify with to break the ice. And then that seems like that always started a trust factor.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Ed. And Chanel, don't get nervous about what he said as far as you're going to get stuck with an objection. The purpose, and Kevin Ward's, he's one of my favorites, and he was actually Mike Ferry trained just like we are. So he uses some of the same scripts. All the scripts and exactly what he just said is in our book as well, guys. And that's kind of what we're trying to teach you. And if you want to do this at a high level, you have to practice, you have to role play, you have to do everything we said in this book. This didn't just happen overnight, selling 500 homes like this, okay? So when you go in there, the purpose of going through that questionnaire in the listing appointment, like Mike Ferry says, is it's handling all the objections, okay? By you doing the pre-qualification and asking those questions, any objections should come up during that pre-qualification. So if she has an issue with the price, or she has an issue with commission, all that should come up. So going into the appointment, that could be a point that she's gonna bring up, or an objection that comes up. So the script is written when you get to the appointment then to go over everything in a way that it takes the question, which a question in their mind, that's all an objection is. It's an unanswered question in their mind. It takes that away because you're answering the question by going through the script, word by word. It'll handle any objection she may have or question. If she does have a question that you can't answer, all you do is say, well, hey, what about this? What if I get an offer and they aren't pre-qualified, or I don't know, what's a question that could come up that you wouldn't know the answer to? Just say, you know what, that's come up before, but I'd like to talk to my associate and get the right answer for you. I don't know for sure. Let me find out and I'll let you know.
Okay.
You can, if you don't know the answer, don't lie and make it up. But anything that comes up, you're probably going to have an answer for it, because this has been going on for 100 years. There's only so many objections they can come up with, and we cover those in the listing agreement or in the listing scripts.
Okay.
And the other thing, make me feel important. Okay, so the other thing is, I like what you said, Ed, about finding some common ground. One thing you can always remember is, make me feel important. Pretend that's written on their forehead. all they care about is themselves. This is human nature, I'm sorry to say. All they care about is what's going on in their head, and usually that is about them. All they care about is how are you going to, I need to get my house sold. How's that going to happen? They don't care about your poodle that you have that looks like theirs or any of that crap. They're worried about themselves. So as much as you can, ask them questions about themselves and comment about something in their life, the more you're going to build rapport. Jesse, man, I really appreciate you being here. Your studio there just looks phenomenal. You are a pro. I can't hear you, but you look good.
Thank you.
Man, Jesse, I'm so happy dude, I'm so happy you're here. You really add a lot to this, and without you, we wouldn't have this show.
I feel good.
You're awesome, man. Does that make you feel good, Jesse, or do you feel like I'm an
I
asshole?
love hearing you say my name.
Okay, good. So Jesse, all I need you to do now is sign a contract so I get 50% of all of your commissions over the next year. Is that okay? Let's do that right now.
Please take my money.
Perfect, no problem. I don't know. Anyway,
People like to do
make it
business.
so important. It's all about
people,
you, Jesse.
People want to do business with people that they like, and if you're likable and you make them feel like you like them, it's going to be more natural. You don't have to try to sell them.
And yeah, you can go through the house too. And that's the thing too. You go through the house by yourself, you're looking at everything. If you see they have a bunch of grandkids and every room has pictures of the grandkids, you can say, wow, you've really got a really big family. That looks like a lot of fun to hang out with those grandkids. How did you get to see them recently or whatever? And she'll talk for 10 minutes about that probably. And she'll feel so good.
Or 2 hours.
Yeah, or 2 hours. And then you just say, Jane, do you want me to handle the sale of your house for you? Yes, great. Well, let's go ahead and sign the contract. Then you don't have to go over the whole long script. That's the what is it? The 1 minute presentation. I love those.
Yeah.
They sign it right away. So anyway, I like when you guys chime in like that, Ed. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so everybody good, or anybody else got anything? Jesse?
No, I see that I'm missing a few items from the Extreme Agents VIP, so we're going to get those uploaded today. So make sure you check that if you guys are missing anything. We'll get that updated today with adding some more scripts and other cool stuff.
Awesome. All right, I've got Chanel, can we talk here in a couple, I'll touch base with you around 4 o'clock if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Whenever you're available, I'm good.
Email me or text me the address of the property also. And
Okay.
yeah, do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, if you guys need any agent attraction resources, go to explore.exprealty.com.